As rain pours down here in Boston, Massachusetts, the UMass Boston Beacons will look to shine a light to victory through the clouds this afternoon. It begins with a doubleheader here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. First, and up next, the UMass Boston Beacons against the Babson College Beavers. That's coming up in just a few moments, right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
Jake.
As usual, she wins it. A chance in front. Her shot is in the net. Crystal laid it. Yet another goal.
Please make a gift to the Beacon Athletic Fund today. We want you on our team.
Welcome back to the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Glad to have you with us for what promises to be an exciting doubleheader of Beacons Volleyball. Along with Seth Orensky, I am John Skudras, and last night, UMass Boston saw their first taste of adversity in almost a month. Their first loss after 9 consecutive victories against Wellesley College last night, Seth. And for Coach Condon and Coach Houlihan, it's going to be about building off of the adversity that they saw last night.
Yeah, UMass Boston really struggled to pass the ball. When you're not moving the ball offensively, when you're not really clicking, you're going to struggle against a talented team. The Beacons, with 3 regionally ranked opponents in the span of less than 24 hours, you're not going to play well. You're going to suffer some of those losses. 5-setter, the Beacons dominated the first match plus. They took 32 of the first 40 points, a disappointing loss, but you go on the road, you're going to get tested. Wellesley, a consistent team out of the NUMAC. Now you got another NUMAC opponent and a team out of the NESCAC. This is a real good testing stone right now for UMass Boston, especially in front of the parents. It's a distraction. A lot of the players who are from out of state, they just want to hang out with their parents. They don't get to see them very often, especially those freshmen. Can they focus enough right here and now and then enjoy the rest of the weekend after some wins? That's the big question.
It is, and for UMass Boston, it wasn't all doubt last night. You saw some good performances out of the likes of Christina Elliott, who led the team in assists. Colleen Cohen, Julia Murphy brought their leadership in the form of kills. What are they going to have to do today, though? Like you said, 3 games, 24 hours, tough opponents. What's going through their head right now?
Well, I think it starts with our player to watch, Pepper Baker. Leads the team in assists, second all-time in program history. The Beacons have really changed things up over the past week. They were playing a 6-2 all season long. That means you're going with 2 setters. Now all 3 setters are involved. Rachel Maslak and Pepper Baker are hitting as well as passing. Baker is a phenomenal talent. She's been such a consistent player over her career. She can do it all. Her service has really lacked this season. That's something I'd like to see pick up. But she needs to set the tone. The Beacons have 3 captains. Pepper's not one of them, but she's a vocal leader on this team. If she can set the tone early and the Beacons can win the first set and then continue it into the second set, that's where they struggled this week. They played really well, taking a set, drop the next one. Taking a set, drop the next one. Back-to-back 5-set matches. That's not what they were looking for when they're playing this many matches in this short of a time.
Absolutely. Consistency is the name of the game if you want to be successful in the Little East Conference and beyond. We'll see if Pepper Baker can spice things up a bit this afternoon as we take a look at the all-time series between these 2 rivals. Babson really dominated the series over the course of time, but UMass Boston has to feel like right now they have the team to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, UMass Boston went 5 in a row going into last year's loss. The Beacons were down last year, let's be honest, 12-16. UMass Boston already has 12 wins here, and we're just starting October. Last year was Mary Donahue, 17 kills for Babson, no longer a part of the squad. The Beacons didn't have a player with 10 or more kills, so they need to get a little bit more involved from their top hitters, the Colleen Cohens, the Eileen Shees, and the Julia Murphys. But really, it just comes down to finishing out sets and not giving up the big runs. Yesterday, it was a 7-0 Beacons lead to start the second set. They gave up 7 points in a row. That's not something you can do, especially on the road against a good team.
Babson's coming off a 3-0 loss on Tuesday to the Coast Guard Academy. The Beacons coming off a 3-2 loss last night to Hillary Clinton's alma mater, Wellesley College. When we come back, we're going to have more of the pregame show and get you set for the opening service of this great matchup. But first, let's check out highlights of last week's second Little East Conference victory, a 3-1 victory over their rivals from Eastern Connecticut State. That's right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Welcome back to the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Along with Seth Orensky, I am John Skudras. UMass Boston coming off that 5-set loss last night at Wellesley College. They will try to get back into their winning ways that they saw 9 consecutive wins ripped off before that loss last night. Let's take a look at the on-the-year statistical outlook between these two vaunted opponents. As you see on the year, UMass Boston, obviously their statistics are going to dwarf Babson's with the Beacons' success this season. But as we take a look not only at their offensive proficiency, but also their defensive proficiency, the Beacons dwarfing their opponents in every statistical category with the exception of aces per set. And we talked about Pepper Baker, Seth, and how she might not have been as proficient from the service area this year as she has been in the past. That's going to be critical for the Beacons to raise that aces per set mark on the year.
Well, and when you look at it, UMass Boston has been so effective in handling opponents' hitting percentage based off the fact that opponents are quite often scrambling off the Beacon set, or off the Beacon serve, excuse me. Baker has struggled. I think she'd tell it herself. She still has 13 aces. She's 5th or 6th on the team. It's been Eileen Shee stepping up after a good freshman season. Christina Elliott has always served well, but she's struggled a little bit in the last 2 matches. Elizabeth Clavin's been great. Julia Murphy's been great. The Beacons, the biggest difference between this season and the past 2 has been their effectiveness in both passing the ball and serving the ball. It's very difficult when you have a team as athletic as UMass Boston when they can do all parts and all facets of the game.
You talked about the players' rankings on the team. Let's take a look at the statistical individual leaders for these two clubs as you see the Beacons and the Beavers on there. Makowitz leading the way for the Beavers with regards to kills. Yilmaz and company also on the rankings. But for UMass Boston, you see there not only the success of the familiar faces, Murphy and Cohen, but also extraordinary defensive success for the Beacons in the form of Baker and Glavin. And of course, Eileen Shee, as mentioned earlier, has been a godsend for the Beacons as they continue to transition into a younger squad. She, a sophomore out of San Francisco, California. You also have some great freshmen, including Sarah Doyle, who has been outstanding up front this season. Let's take a look at the head coaches for each of these two squads. We begin with Babson coach Eric Neely, and as you see Coach Neely discussing things with his club on the bench prior to this game. Coach Neely in his 6th season, he's a 2-time NEWMAC Coach of the Year. A 120-56 record. He has made it to the NCAA tournament with Babson each of the last 2 campaigns. Next on the slate will be UMass Boston head coach Terry Condon. She has been an absolute legend here on Beaconville for the better part of a decade. In her 12th season, the AVCA Hall of Fame inductee is a 241 and 123 record here on Beaconville, but her overall record speaks for itself, over 430 wins in her career as she toes the line here on the bench for UMass Boston. We also take a look at Mike Houlihan, the co-coach here for the Beacons. Mike, always a great interview after the game, but an even better preparation coach prior to the game. We'll see if he and Coach Condon can get things done today against Babson and Middlebury. Without further ado, let's take a look at the Babson starting lineup as the Beavers will set out this lineup for UMass Boston. We're going to take a look at the Beacons first, then we'll come back to Babson after a break when we go to a commercial here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. When we come back, it'll be the opening service, UMass Boston against Babson, right here from UMass Boston.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
We had a bit of technical difficulty here in the arena, but we are all set to go now for the opening service. Let's take a look at Babson's starting lineup. Their libero is Amy Beecher, outside hitters Lorraine Makowitz and Shannon Rosine. You also have Alana Atchison and Jism Yilmaz, and their setter here today, Elizabeth Cameron for Babson, who comes in at 8-5 overall, Seth.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Cameron is really the player to watch for this Babson side, a very athletic setter, 375 assists coming in today. How can the Beacons slow down this Babson front line and this Babson passing game? It'll be interesting to see. These two teams, these two schools, there's a little bit of bad blood. There's a big hockey conference rivalry on the men's side, but also the baseball teams play every year. The women's soccer and men's soccer teams have played the past couple of years. It's a fun little rivalry. These two schools not separated by more than 30, 40 miles. Babson over in Wellesley, Mass. And it's a very good matchup for both of these sides. Babson plays in a tough NUMAC conference. The Beacons look to get as many difficult out-of-conference games in as possible so that they can be prepared not just for the Little East Conference, but for potential NCAA tournament play.
Christina Elliott will get things started with this opening service. As mentioned in the pregame, Christina has been outstanding over the course of her career from the service area. And here we go with an overhand serve. Almost dug out there on a play made, or at least an effort made by number 12, Anissa Lay. But Anissa unable to get down and make the play, and the Beacons with a good start.
Yeah, and that's one of those difficult ones. A nice job by Elliott to put it into a spot that two players were going to have to occupy. I think Beecher would have been able to make the play, and instead Lay comes up with a service error.
Quick spike attempt. Great play by Glavin to dig that one out and sets up Cohen to keep play alive. UMass Boston and Babson battling here early. Good dig on an effort made there by Fida as that one is out of bounds, so UMass Boston takes the early advantage. Beacons playing a little poised here early on. As we saw yesterday, they did that, but then ended up succumbing to Wellesley.
Well, it's so important when you're already a little bit tired, that match ending after 9 o'clock last night, to come out and start hot, not let the other team feel like they can run you out of your own gym.
Soft tap over, dug out by Elliott. Glavin trying to set up Cohen, who's one of the best offensive stars here for UMass Boston, but it does trickle out of bounds, so the first point on the board here for Babson, and service for the first time to the Beavers.
And it's Shannon Rosine, who's one of the team's better servers, 17 aces on this season. That's good for fourth on the side.
Beacons see Rosine send this over, dug out by Glavin. Beautiful hesitation move by She. She is so deceptive when she rises up. You don't know if she's going to bring velocity or soft touch like that.
Well, on that one, I'm not even sure if it was the intended play or if it was just a slightly offset by Elliott. But either way, a tremendous job by Elliott, holding herself up in the air, coming away with a really nice kill.
So Eileen sends this over, dug out on the far side, trying to keep it alive was Babson. A little bit of miscommunication there between number 15, Elizabeth Cameron, and number 7, Alana Atchison. Both of those players have solid experience, especially Atchison, one of the few seniors on this club, but unable to make the play there. So Eileen Shee, who had a huge part in the Beacons' victory last week against EastCon, continues to serve, and Christina Elliott will set up Eileen, who'll try to slam that one overhand. Good dig out there by the Beavers, the ability to set up Makowitz. But a play made there by Fida to keep it alive for Colleen Cohen, who delivers the spike with a vengeance right into the face of Atchison, and the Beacons have a 4-point advantage.
Well, and that's the thing that's most impressed me about Eileen Shee's game has been her service this season. She was tremendous defensively and offensively a year ago, second in digs and digs percent, first in kills and kills percent. She had a 7-0 run last week against EastCon, had a 7-0 run to open the second set yesterday against Wellesley before Wellesley came back with a 7-0 run. That's special when you can do everything for your team.
Makowitz tried to hit the far side line, but good play by Glavin. Meanwhile, She will look forward. Elliott sets up Cohen, deflected out of bounds, and Colleen Cohen continues to show her prowess from the far side of the netting there. Another kill, and the Beacons all of a sudden up 6-1 early on.
John, neither of us played volleyball, so it's a little bit interesting to watch the spacing and the movement, but that one was very impressive for UMass Boston. The backline players shifting around easily there in plenty of time. The frontline players moving as well. UMass Boston, when they play like this, are very difficult to beat.
Referees saying that was deflected by Melanie Fida, and so the second point of the day here to the visitors from Wellesley, Massachusetts. And as you said, for the Beacons having to play 3 games in 24 hours, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not fatigue affects them later on, but not here early, as a beautiful play made by Fida, the freshman from Park Ridge, Illinois.
Yeah, and I talked to co-head coach Michael Holohan. He said, ideally, we beat Wellesley in 3 because it'll give us more juice in the tank for Saturday. That didn't happen. A 5-setter and a 5-set loss makes today even more important to really put in that consistent effort.
Jenny Carnes, the senior from Houston, Texas, a long way from home, and that one was a long way from a kill for her as it sails out of bounds near Coach Houlihan. Elizabeth Glavin will take the ensuing service, but that is an error on her part as the service will go back the other way to be taken by number 10, Lorraine Makowitz.
Makowitz having a tremendous season, leads the team in kills with 101, also third with aces with 20.
Dug out there by Fida, and an opportunity for Murphy to make her presence known for the first time. Good dig and a play made by Zazizny. Here's Elliott for Fida, just taps it over with the left hand, but it go out of bounds. Good effort there by the freshman from Illinois, but the point and credit and service goes to the Beavers. We talked about the rivalry between these institutions, just announced earlier this week, Seth. Beacon's hockey team will be playing Frozen Fenway this year against the Beavers hockey team. Always an exciting rivalry as that one's sent out of bounds. Beacons will get that point and service. That's going to be really exciting in January.
Yeah, and it's the first time that these two teams will have played in Fenway. Babson has played now in 3 Frozen Fenways, the first 2 against Norwich, another conference foe. UMass Boston 2 years ago, rather, I believe it was 3 at this point against Salem State. So it'll be really fun to watch, and then 2 days later they'll come back right here to the Clark, and that'll be a wild weekend in Boston.
Yeah, anytime Babson and UMass Boston plays in hockey, certainly just likely to see some sort of body count. As this one is a beautiful dig by who else? Elizabeth Glavin, the institutional leader in that category, as this is deflected by Fida, and they're going to say the Beacons will get a point on that one. And Seth, the Beacons off to an early advantage.
Yeah, I think that one caught the antenna, might have been just wide of the antenna, out of bounds there. A great play by Glavin on a ball that was really crushed, and she nearly came away with an incidental kill there. The ball was hit so hard.
And there's our player to watch, making us watch as Pepper Baker spices things up with a beautiful serve. Deceptive as that one really had very little spin on it, just died right on the Beacons logo at center court.
Yeah, Eric Neely forced to call his first time out. UMass Boston rolling at this point through set number 1.
They certainly are. We'll continue with set number 1 when we come back right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
UMass Boston was my first choice because when I came to the campus, I saw that there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people. Here there is a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world. I'm Julia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
I'm Olivia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
We're sisters. I play volleyball and she plays basketball. Here they have a freshman success community. So each major has their own community that you can join as a freshman, and you take classes with them, you do study groups with them. So it was really helpful getting to know people in your major right away.
So in health exercise sciences, we have an internship at the end, so it's so much better to have like an advisor helping you out, like telling you which classes to choose.
Out of the timeout here, Pepper Baker remains in the service area. Rachel Maslak enters this affair for the first time for Terry Condon's club as this one's dug out by Amy Beecher. Spike attempt sails way out of bounds off the left arm of Lorraine Makowitz as the native of Edison, New Jersey is off the mark. Beacons extending their early advantage to 8 here as they lead 12-4. Pepper Baker back in the service area yet again. Overhand service from Pepper as she looks to get the 3rd consecutive point for the Beacons. Sent near side for a spike attempt and a beauty by Jenny Carnes as she was set up nicely out there by Elizabeth Cameron, and unable to get her right arm on that one was Glavin. Service comes back over the other way to the Beavers, and we get our first chance to take a look at Anissa Lay, the native of San Ramon, California, as she will serve for Eric Neely's club. Overhand service dug out there by Fida, and trying to keep that one alive as it nipped the front of the netting was Pepper Baker, but that would have been nearly impossible to successfully achieve as the once 8-point advantage is now down to 6, and service remains with Babson College. Overhand serve by Lay, dug out here by Fida. Baker tried to get it to Maslak, but a better defensive play made out front by Cameron as she gets the 3rd consecutive advantage here for the visitors.
And we talked about passing being an issue yesterday there. Melanie Fida has initial pass is just too tight to the net, caused Pepper Baker really to have nowhere else to go but Maslak, and Maslak was immediately blocked at the net.
Opportunity here for the Beavers to get back in it. Murphy faked out on that one, but it looks like it's going to go the other way. Beacons continuing to struggle out of the timeout. Looked like a shrewdly timed one by Coach Neely.
Yeah, and that'll happen a lot. You'll see a surge one way or another. Often you'll see a service error by the team that had the timeout called against them.
Fida keeps that one alive. Pepper Baker, a diving effort. Julia had to get it over, and she does. From the far side, Cameron sets up an opportunity for Yilmaz, and she eats Glavin for lunch, and now all of a sudden from 12-4, it's 12-9.
Yeah, and there's nothing Elizabeth Glavin can do. You need the block to get something on that one. Otherwise, it's getting pounded in your face, and it's just self-defense at that point.
As we saw moments ago from Coach Neely, this time it's Coach Condon and the Beacons' opportunity to talk things over. Timeout on the court with the score, the Beacons 12, the Beavers 9, right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
No changes out of the timeout, at least when it comes to the players on the court. It's She, Glavin, Fida, Maslak, Baker, and Murphy for UMass Boston. As Anissa Lay, the native of San Ramon, will be back out there as the 5'6" athlete here for the Beavers gets a beautiful ace there. Is unable to take control of that one was Fida, and now 6 consecutive scores here for the visitors from Wellesley.
Yeah, and right now they're just picking on Melanie Fida. She's had a very strong freshman season, but at times she's going to look like a freshman, and right now Babson picking up on that.
As Fida answers back, anything you can do, I can do better, as number 10 in black delivers with a kill, stops the bleeding, and gets herself a serve.
Yeah, that was really big for the Beacons, the side out, and now Fida a chance to start a little run of her own.
And there you saw it, the inexperience of Melanie Fida. Very good defensive player, still honing her skills from the service area.
Just an update, folks, if you're a Babson fan or a Middlebury fan tuned in very early, we will have video of match number 2, no audio for that one.
Babson getting set for this one as the overhand service is dug out here. Michaela Kianko recently entered into the game just moments ago, kept it alive, but Julia Murphy was handcuffed by the pass, and now it's 13-12. All of a sudden, this lead is evaporated.
Yeah, the Beacons replacing Fida, giving her a rest, trying to get her mentally back into the match. Kianko, a much better defensive player, listed as a DS.
Seen a lot of Michaela here over the last couple of weeks as she has worked her way into the rotation. Eileen Shee, beautiful spike, and getting a piece of that one was Cameron, but couldn't keep it alive as service moves back to the Beacons.
And with Colleen Cohen serving as only a front row player, the Beacons have struggled when she goes out. She's been so consistent this season. Last year she was their 3rd hitter in her first year with the team. This year she's been dynamic.
And a dynamic play made up front. I believe that was Cameron who got that one in front of Fida, who was raising over the netting and somehow was able to tip the trajectory to the far side away from the Beacons freshman.
Yeah, it was actually Doyle up front, unable to make the play, and Terry Condon immediately telling her she's got to do better on that particular play.
Sarah Doyle, the other supremely successful freshman, and there she goes, answering back, just like you said.
When you're 6'2", and I think they're listing her a little bit shorter than she is, you have to get up there and make it difficult at the net. Babson sent a couple of soft floaters over the past couple points. That's the ones that you need to punish.
Dug out there by Lay, setting up an opportunity for a spike, but it's blocked down by Maslak. Great play by Rachel as she had Doyle's help to her left. Here's Kianko setting up Rachel Maslak, and she delivers with the spike as the excellent defensive player showing her offensive prowess there.
Yeah, and that was all set up by Doyle at the net. The initial block coming with the combination of her and Maslak, forcing the tip over the block because Babson was afraid of getting blocked again, and then Maslak able to knock the ball off the hands of a Beaver for the point.
Deflected in front. Beautiful play by Baker to get down and keep it alive for Eileen Shee, and I believe that's deflected, and the Beacons do get credit for that one. The official scoreboard here says 18-12. Our scoreboard says 16-13. We'll get you an update on that when we come back. It is a timeout on the court. The Beacons out in front here in the first set of our doubleheader as UMass Boston Beacons volleyball continues right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
What separates UMass Boston from other schools is the fact that a large percentage of students commute. For me, it takes 2 hours each day to go to and from school. But every second has been worth it because the students that come here are serious about learning, they value their education, and understand where it'll take them in the future. This is what UMass Boston means to me.
Welcome back into the broadcasting booth. Beacons coming right back on out with the same lineup they just had. It's Doyle, Maslak, Shee, Baker, Kianko, and Murphy will be serving for UMass Boston against these Beavers. 18-12 Beacons out in front right now. And Seth, after a bit of a slow middle to this set, they have picked things back up out of that last time out.
And this is the crucial point in the set. It's the point that the Beacons have really struggled, closing them out. Just like that, the service error, and you see Glavin replace Murphy. You go up by 6. 4, 5, 6 at this point in the set. You're expected to win it, and you should win it easily. This is what happened against Plymouth State, and again last night against Wellesley, letting teams back into sets.
Kianko digs it out. Ability for Maslak off the set from Baker. And now out in front, a good spike and a beautiful block by Doyle out in front on the attempt on a spike by Lay. Glavin digs this one out. Pepper Baker sets up Eileen Shee. She's got the magic, but unable to get it by Lay. And then a spike attempt there by Makowitz is dug out by Kianko. And unfortunately, it looks like the Beacons committed a foul there, and just like that, it's 18-14. Now, UMass Boston out in front early. How important as we see this service dug out by Kianko? I'll ask you that in a moment, Seth, as Eileen Shee gets it blocked right back in her face, but it's out of bounds. UMass Boston gets that one. Seth, as we see Cohen and Elliott come in, Beacons have to play again in a couple hours. They played just a few hours ago last night. How important is it them to try to squash Babson here in 3 or 4 sets?
Well, I think the fatigue factor actually factors in more for Babson today, because Babson has to go right back out and play a very talented Middlebury team who hasn't played a match today. And the more points you play consecutively, I think the more fatigued you're going to be. Now, going into the 3rd or 4th set against Middlebury, yeah, you're going to feel that fatigue if this match goes long, but Babson's the team that's going to have issues if this match goes to 4 or 5.
Colleen Cohen spike attempt dug out there, and a good play by Beecher. Setting that one up was number 6, Shannon Rosine. Good dig out there by Cohen, showing her defensive skills. Eileen Shee's spike attempt is kept alive. Good volley here between the two clubs as Doyle ends this one with a vengeance as she slams it home. Sarah needed every inch of that 6'2 frame, at least what they say is a 6'2 frame, to get that one over.
Great defensive play on both sides of the ball there. You saw a couple of times where it was just bouncing around and Babson's just able to get it over. Then the Beacons able to get it back over. Some really strong play on both sides. And, I mean, there's a reason you're going to see good volleyball today. All 3 of these teams regionally ranked. Babson plays in one of the toughest conferences in New England, as does Middlebury. UMass Boston, they play in a relatively easy conference, but it's getting better.
Good play out front by Doyle as the freshman, wise beyond her years defensively, blocks that one down, and the Beacons up by 7, 21-14. Christina Elliott back in there, and we've seen it a lot this year where Christina Elliott comes in late in sets and leads the Beacons to victories in those sets. We'll see if she can keep that up as this one dug out low by Lay. Elliott looking to set things up for Shee, and Eileen got that one off the end of her knuckles and sent it sailing out of bounds. It's now 21-15.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you love to get the point on the service, but that's almost as good. Getting the unintentional free ball right back sets up your offense, gives yourself a chance to get a good swing. Unfortunately, Shee just a little bit too long.
Atchison's service dug out there by Kianko. Good play made by Eileen Shee as Colleen Cohen tried to use a bit of a soft touch there to nip it between the trees, and Glavin was unable to dig out the return block, but UMass Boston still leading 21-16.
And the Beacons with the timeout in their back pocket if needed.
We'll see if they elect to use it. Eileen Shee looking to set up Elliott, but UMass Boston did tip the netting, and just like that, it's 21-17. 3 consecutive coming up here, and now the 4th consecutive service for Catherine Hunter. Sophomore from Duxbury sends that one sailing wide and out of bounds. An error on her on this service. Just what the Beacons needed, as Kianka will take a seat for Melfida.
Yeah, and that's an instance where the Beacons' two co-head coaches looked at each other and said, do we call the timeout now? Terry Cotton said one more, and it works out for UMass Boston.
Absolutely, as we see a substitution, as coming on in here will be Sarah Zazizny, the Nanawitt, New York native. Babson has players from all across the country and across the world. Chisholm Yilmaz, a native of Istanbul, Turkey, as that one is kept alive there for the moment by Elizabeth Cameron, but a good play by Doyle as Cameron was unable to keep it alive, just tipped it out of bounds. Beacons now 2 away from winning this opening set.
Yeah, Babson doesn't have a lot of height out there right now, and that's when Doyle needs to take advantage at the net.
There's an opportunity for a spike by Atchison, but out of bounds as she couldn't keep the accuracy and poise there. And the Beacons now with set point up 24-17, trying to squash Babson like they did Wellesley in the first set yesterday. Things didn't work out after that as Eileen Shee tries to drop in a teardrop. Meanwhile, it's kept alive for a chance by Makowitz, and out of bounds. UMass Boston able to get this victory here in set 1. And Seth, it was teeter-totter sometimes. The Beacons really maintained their momentum.
Yeah, and most impressively about that first set is they did it with Colleen Cohen on the bench for the majority of that run in the middle of the set when they took the lead. The Beacons, with their rotation system, they lose Cohen at some points for half a set. This time it worked out, and UMass Boston off to a good start after a difficult loss last night.
It's going to be a long day of volleyball here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network, and we're glad you're with us. When we come back, we'll have highlights of that first set as well as a look around the Little East Conference scoreboard. We'll be back. The Beacons lead this one 1-0 after taking the opener 25-17.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Beacons winning the first set by the final of 25-17 to take a 1-0 lead. Let's take a look now at the highlights of the opening set, won by UMass Boston right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. And as you said, for the Beacons having to play 3 games in 24 hours, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not fatigue affects them later on, but not. UMass Boston plays in hockey. Certainly just likely to see some sort of body count, as this one is a beautiful dig by who else? Elizabeth Glavin, the franchise, or rather the institutional leader in that category.
And she nearly came away with an incidental kill there. The ball was hit so hard.
And there's our player to watch, making us watch, is Pepper Baker.
To do better on that particular play.
Sarah Doyle, the other supremely successful freshman, and there she goes, answering back, just like you said.
Her 4th set against Middlebury. Yeah, you're going to feel that fatigue if this match goes long, but Babson's the team that's going to have issues if this match goes to 4 or 5.
Colleen Cohen's spike attempt dug out there, and a good play by Beecher. Setting that one up was number 6, Shannon Rosine. Good dig out there by Cohen, showing her defensive skills. Chisholm Yilmaz, a native of Istanbul, Turkey, as that one is kept alive there for
right now, and that's when Doyle needs to take advantage at the net.
There's an opportunity for a spike by So UMass Boston out to the early advantage. Before we get set with the second set, let's take a look at that LEC scoreboard. No matches beginning quite yet, as this one is the earliest on the slate. Western New England at EastCon at noon. Also, Keene State Owls take on Southern Maine at that same time. UMass Dartmouth heads to Westfield State. UNE is at Western Connecticut State, and Mount Holyoke takes on Rick. All of those matchups, those 3, beginning in just over an hour at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So, Seth, as you are back with me, I am John Skudras, Seth Orensky, getting you set for set 2. What'd you like about set 1 as you take a look at the statistics?
Well, anytime you're out hitting your opponents by close to 400 points, that's a pretty good set. The Beacons hitting 200, below their season average, but Babson, 10 attack errors versus just 4 kills, negative 182. The Beacons passing the ball well, 10 assists on 10 kills. decent defensively with 16 digs versus 9 for Babson. The Beacons with 3 blocks to 2 for the Beavers.
Opportunity for the Beacons to get out to an early start, but a beautiful defensive play made there by Makowitz to deny Colleen Cohen.
Yeah, Cohen got off to a slow start yesterday and still ended up with 14 kills. She's got 3 kills and 3 errors thus far, but has just been such a phenomenal addition to this lineup this season.
Tried to do it again this time, deflected by Makowitz, able to keep it alive, but a great defensive play up front. That was Doyle. And this time on the second effort by number 6, Shannon Rosine, she sends it wide. It's a Malden, Massachusetts native, evens it up 1-1.
Colleen, when coming over from Wheaton, was a tipper. It was all about soft hits over the net. Picked up her kills because of her craftiness. This year she's added a lot of muscle on her swings, and it's caused big problems for opponents.
Speaking of muscle, up front, Doyle and Fida on the court together for the first time today, and it's really something that's worked a lot. You don't like to have that much inexperience, really, but their size up front is just really daunting.
Well, and that leads to the other players out there really needing to direct them and give them any of the help they might need.
As Elliott delivers a little assistance, digs that one out. Glavin finds Cohen, and a great defensive play up front by Makowitz as she sends it right back in Colleen's face, and we're evened up 2-2.
The one part of Colleen's game that she continues to work on. She's not a great blocker, she'll admit it, but when you have Doyle, who's very tall and very strong on the block, and Melanie Fida out there as well, you can make up for it in other spots.
Service here by number 6, Shannon Rosine. UMass Boston looking to get the advantage. 2-2, knotted up here in set number 2, and a beautiful play by Cohen. Good dig there by number 4, Abby Beecher. But at the same time, Cohen made it almost impossible for the Beavers on that one.
Yeah, Eric Neely's got to be frustrated. She swung it through a double block there and down right in front of the libero. It wasn't a great set. She was far away from the net, and the Beacons still get the point.
Setting things up here for a spike attempt that eats Glavin alive. Great play by Jenny Carnes as she slammed that one home like it talked about her sister. And now here we are 3-3 early on in set 2.
Jenny had a team-high 2 kills in that first set against 3 errors. She has looked by far the most daunting of the hitters for this Babson side.
Dug out there by Fida. Elliott setting things up for Cohen. And there you saw the tipping action by Cohen. Her experience pays off.
But it's the left hand there. And normally a player is going to go with their dominant hand. A very smart play by Cohen, who heads off as part of this 6-2. Baker and Maslak come in. So where we're used to seeing Baker and Gibbs come in together with Cohen and Elliott, now the Beacons going in with 2 setters with Maslak hitting. So they're a very good passing team, but they don't have as many weapons to swing the ball out there.
Our player to watch, Pepper Baker, delivers from the service area. We said that's the one area where she wanted to improve. It's her second ace of the day, and for Pepper, getting the Beacons up 5-3. If she can rekindle the magic she found from the service area, the weaknesses for the Beacons will begin and continue to decline. As Pepper will get back at it. Oh, tough play by Makowitz off her fingertips. Good save by Beecher near side, and a good dig made by Murphy, setting things up for Rachel Maslak, but Makowitz answers with a beautiful block up front. It's 5-3.
What a tremendous play by Gizem Yolamaz. That was a phenomenal over there. Back turn, knew she had to get it over. Instead of just floating it towards the back line like most players would, caused the Beacons to get a bit out of sync, and that's what set up that block.
The Istanbul Turkey native. Istanbul, formerly Constantinople, and she has been outstanding, an empress out there today as this one is kept alive. Great play by Murphy up front. It looked like she had no chance to use that length, but didn't have any chance on that one as Jenny Carnes, the native of Houston, delivers with the kill there. It's 5-5.
Yeah, and that time, Fida and Murphy a little bit disappointed themselves not being able to get the block. Carnes doesn't stand all that tall at 6 feet.
Well, they say everything's bigger in Texas, and the native of the Lone Star State came up with a big play on that one, is keeping it alive as Murphy. Beecher, the libero, sends it for Carnes, who just tried to use the tap to get it over and got nothing on it. So now Melanie Fida, who on her first service attempt back in the last set, sent it way out of bounds for an error. We'll see if she can learn from that mistake. And she does. A beautiful drop on an ace here from Melanie Fida right in front of Kristen Heislip.
Beacons with 3 aces and 3 errors in the first set. Already 2 aces here in the first 11 points of set 2.
So Fida looking for 2 for the price of 1, and she gets it. They're picking on the senior, Kristen Heislip from Waterford, Virginia here, and now Heislip, I think, is going to hear her name called to head to the bench, and she will, as coming right back on out is going to be Makowitz. Wasn't a long time that she was on the bench.
Yeah, we don't have the names of the officials today. The program a little bit different with the tri-match, but he's been getting a lot of action, a lot more than he'd probably like.
As this one's deflected up front, I believe, by Murphy, and unable to catch up to it is Glavin, so give credit for that one to Jenny Carnes, as she will take a seat for Anissa Lay, and Lay will get the service.
That one almost looked like it either hit off the top of the net or Murphy's shoulder. It took a really high carom that caused the Beacons some problems.
8-6 UMass Boston. They lead this match 1-0 as dug out here by Glavin. Eileen Shee from Baker, and it's partially deflected up front, but not getting enough of that's Cameron. And for Pepper Baker, we made her our player to watch, and she's living up to it.
Yeah, a beautiful swing there by Shee directly into the block, but got enough velocity that it was impossible to keep the ball up.
Eileen continuing to take her talents to the next level as Pepper Baker just hesitated there. Looked like she was going to set up a beacon. Instead, she sent it right on over and gave the Beavers fits. Here's a chance for Doyle to do the same. Good play made by Cameron. And then eventually Makowitz gets the job done right in between both Murphy and Doyle. And for Lorraine, the Edison, New Jersey native, it's now 9-7.
Yeah, Doyle stepping out of the way there, thinking that Murphy was going to get there. Murphy obstructed by Doyle's 6'2" frame. Couldn't quite get down in time.
So here's the service from Cameron. Excuse me, that was actually the native of Turkey, Yilmaz. And UMass Boston sends this out of bounds. Good effort there, but nonetheless, Babson continuing to keep it close. It's 9-8. So here's Jism Yilmaz. Her second straight service. Standing at 6'1", as she had a lot of velocity on that one. Good play by Fida, as Matzlak has to get it over. Makowitz able to set up a spike attempt there from Kristen Carasoto. First chance I get to say her name. And, Eileen Shee got fooled by that, and it's going to deflect off the scoreboard. No whistle, as Pepper Baker and Glavin both dive for the dig. Last chance for the Beacons to get it over. They do. Yilmaz keeps alive the Glavin attempt, as this one is sent over by Rosine. Pepper Baker gets it to Glavin, and Matzlak sends it back over to Yilmaz and Makowitz. Spike attempt is blocked right back its way after the attempt by Carasoto is denied by Eileen Shee.
Eric Neely continues to argue that the ball deflected off the scoreboard. Now the issue is parts of the scoreboard are in play. The underneath part of the scoreboard is in play. The sides, not quite as sure on. You don't see it that often. The other issue is that ball didn't make a sound when it hit the scoreboard. If anything, it partially glanced off. But a very difficult play.
UMass Boston leading 10-8 here in set 2. The referees continuing to discuss things here. From my angle, it looked like it did hit the Proud to Support the Beacon sign on the side of this scoreboard, but it's a judgment call, and they didn't make it, so you can't really fault anybody. That's not going to help anybody. It just hurts anybody on the court.
Typically, when the ball gets that high, it's going up with enough velocity where you're going to hear the ricochet. That one didn't make a sound. It was soft enough.
Nice play by Elliott. Keeps that alive for Glavin. She tried to nail the spike. And instead, it's a beautiful block up front. Not sure if that was Doyle or Cohen who got it, but it does result in a Beacons point, 11-8.
Yeah, that was a nice play by Doyle, winning the joust. UMass Boston was called for a litany of net violations on Tuesday against Plymouth State, and you saw her there making sure that she made no contact with the net.
Lay using her face on that one as it deflected off her forearms into her face, but able to keep it alive. From the far side, Beecher looking for help in the form of Rosine. Good block up front by Shee. Same deal for Rosine, and a beautiful play as she drops that one right on the line in front of Christina Elliott. Great effort there by Shannon. It's now 11-9.
John, it's interesting. Throughout that entire point, Babson had all 6 players around the 3-meter line. If they continue to creep up this far, they're going to lead themselves into giving up some points if the Beacons can just push it towards the back line on 1 or 2.
Cameron's service kept alive by Glavin, but Beacon's not in good position. A bit sloppy on that one, as if they were unprepared. It's now 11-10. Another opportunity for Cameron, native of the El Dorado Hills area in California, as this is dug out by Fida, setting an opportunity for Doyle. Good dig on the far side by Beecher. Glavin for Elliott. Chance for Cohen to spike it home. A great block by Makowitz. And just like that, we are knotted up now 11-11. Great play up front by Lorraine Makowitz, who is the tallest player on this team at 6'2". Service here by Cameron, dug out by Glavin. And Eileen Sheave, does she have ups or what? But it's a beautiful block up front by Kristen Carasato. And now, for the first time in this set, since very early on, it is 12-11. Beavers out in front. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll have the exciting conclusion of this, the second set between your UMass Boston Beacons and the Babson College Beavers.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
Welcome back to the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Along with Seth Orensky, I am John Skudris. And Seth, Beacons now trailing here for the first time in the set number 2, 12-11. As Cameron serves, dug out by Fida, keeping the same lineup out there is UMass Boston as Cohen keeps it alive for Murphy, setting up and she delivers as Eileen is on fire, and now she heads to the service area where she has been very good this year.
Well, this was the same point in the last set that UMass Boston took control. It was a 2-3 point lead. They stretched it out to 7. This is where UMass Boston has been very good, especially at home this season where they've yet to lose.
Spike attempt there. Great block, and Colleen Cohen this time showing her defensive improvements, blocking that spike from Rosine.
Yeah, that might have been a solo block. It didn't look like Doyle got over in time. And a very rare occurrence, but a good one there for Colleen Cohen.
So the Beacons now back in top 13-12, 2 consecutive out of the break. Deflected in front there by Doyle. Elliott looking to set up Cohen, and Colleen continuing to exacerbate her talent here in the second half and continuing to excel as the Beacons lead 14-12. And Seth, Eileen Shee again leading the way from the service area.
Yeah, and what Eileen's doing so well is just putting it over, making it a little bit difficult on the reception, and not allowing Babson to get that easy point on the service error.
The freshman Kristen Carasoto didn't play much in the first set, if at all, but here in set number 2, she has been critical. She gets the kill there. And service goes back to Rosine.
And Carnes checks back in for Babson, who's been one of their better hitters.
Good play by Murphy, and what a great play between Murphy and Doyle, as that looked like off of Glavin's dig, it was just going to go right off the netting, but Murphy set things up for her freshman teammate.
I think that was actually Elliott who made the tremendous set right at the net, but that was one of the more difficult ones. Had to hold her hand straight up, keep the ball from going over, and Doyle a strong swing coming through.
I think you might be right, as UMass Boston sees Carnes back in, as you said. She's on the far side and dangerous, as is Makowitz, but Murphy out front, getting the job done this time as she extends the lead 16-13.
Yeah, it's rare that you see a 3-time Offensive Player of the Year, third on her team in kills, but that's been the season for Murphy. Very close to Eileen Shee. She's dominated with the block, and that's when it's difficult, when you have to target 3 different players with 3 different skill sets trying to set up a defensive game plan.
Here's Glavin with the service, kept alive by Carnes as it comes right back to Carnes by way of Cameron. Tipped way up in the air like a mortar shot, and now it's going to be Murphy sending it over in front of Shee. As Makowitz tries to spike it home as both Murphy and Cohen near side with a beautiful defensive effort.
Well, the rafters are clearly in play. That went up and hit one of the red rafters, and what a play by Elizabeth Glavin, tracking it the whole way, just like you'd see in a baseball stadium where you have down in Tampa, you have the ball coming off of all kinds of stuff in the roof. And a huge play, and just like that, the Beacons trailing 12-11. They've won 7 of the past 8 points.
18-13's the score right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. We'll be back in a break.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
Folks, as always, keep in line with your Beacons Athletics action all over social media at Beacons Athletics. You can check it out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And, of course, check out all your UMass Boston Beacons Athletics highlights, live video, and, of course, past matches and games on beaconsathletics.com. Check it out right on your screen in the bottom left-hand corner, as this one is going to be an error on UMass Boston. And just like that, out of the well-timed timeout by Eric Neely, it's 18-14.
We've seen that a couple times for Babson, where the timeout gives them a little bit of a rush, gets them back into sets.
And that one is an error there by the libero, and oftentimes that defensive specialist isn't as proficient from the service area. Saw it right there as Abby Beecher, the native of Pittsford, New York, misses the mark. Cohen and Elliott will take a seat. Pepper Baker out there for UMass Boston. And Pepper right to the service area where she belongs, as she will try to get the Beacons their 20th of the set. Dug out there by Beecher. Not a good one, though, as it's sent way up in the air, but an even better play by Glavin on that vicious spike attempt by UMass. And another chance for UMass, and an even better play by Glavin. Always in the right position, not only with her body, but with her hands, as Carnes sends that one over. Not a whole lot you can do if you're Julia Murphy. She got in the way, but just too much mustard.
No, that pass from the near side to the far side, when you skip over the middle, it causes the block to get there a little bit late. Really nice job defensively by Glavin with a pair of digs, and some really strong swings from Yellowmoss.
So here's service from Lorraine Makowitz, as Glavin again, what else is new? Over 2,000 digs in her career, as she moves closer to 2,100. Nice effort there by UMass, but who else up front? UMass Boston led by Julia Murphy and Rachel Maslak up front here on this set. Up 20-15 as Fida heads to the service area.
Yeah, that was a difficult set for Babson. Yilmaz had to back away from the net, and then she wasn't in full stride, standing flat-footed. The Beacons blocked in there in plenty of time.
Dug out there by Sazizny, and UMass Boston sees their trees up front get it done again. Eileen Shee, and it's 21-15. Beacons closing in on set 2.
Cameron's becoming too predictable. Yilmaz has had 5 of the past 6 sets for her, and the Beacons keying in on that.
So we have a timeout yet again for Eric Neely, as the Beacons have taken the bull by the horns here in set number 2. They lead it 21-15. We'll be back right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
Come on, Jake.
As usual, she wins it. A chance in front. Her shot is in the net. Crystal Layden. Yet another goal.
Please make a gift to the Beacon Athletic Fund today. We want you on our team.
Siggs, you're directing the second game.
UMass Boston leading 21-15 as Melanie Fida back on out there. She's joined by Baker, Glavin, Maslak. I think that's Michaela Kiyanko, and then there's Eileen Shee. So that's Julia Murphy instead of Kiyanko. Tough to see with the ref, as Murphy gives me a reason to notice her out there. She delivers again, a beautiful kill from number 6 in black, and UMass Boston leads 22-15.
Yeah, a similar script to the first set. Close early on, the Beacons with the slight advantage, and the Beacons blowing Babson out of the water in those teens area.
Beautiful play by Jism Yilmaz, as the native of Turkey delivers on that strike. As Fida will take a seat. Melanie, though, since that first set serve where she committed the error, has been brilliant from the service area, as we will see an opportunity for Anissa Lay to go on out there. I think it's Alyssa Lai, although their official roster says Lay, so I can only go from what I'm told. We'll go with Anissa Lai as Pepper Baker to the near side for she gets it right back in her face, but luckily for UMass Boston, just a little bit too much on that from Cameron as it does go out of bounds. And you mentioned earlier, Cameron, a little bit too predictable.
Yeah, well, a little bit too predictable there with the sets, but in that instance, it's so hard to block she because it's so much velocity. You have to have a perfect block directly down at the feet of Eileen.
You saw the Beacons' strategy there. Pepper Baker just get it to Eileen Shee, and now we're at set point yet again. Beacons leading 24-16.
The Beacons going with the same script. Get it to Eileen Shee. They can get the block, but if they can't put it down in bounds, it's just as good as a kill.
Oh, wow, that one teeter-totter. Set on top of the netting before it came out of bounds, and the Beacons have won set 2 by the final of 25-16. So they took set 1 25-17. Now they win set 2 25-16. Good start here against a tough opponent.
Yeah, the Beacons doing exactly what they needed to do. They're serving better, they're passing better, and they're not letting Babson get big runs. That was one of the big keys for today's match. 2 sets down, see if they can do what they didn't do a week ago and really put the pedal to the metal and finish, especially knowing they have another match in just a matter of hours.
Yeah, a week ago against EastCon, a 2-0 lead. They let that one trickle back to respectability. We'll hope they don't do it again so they can rest their legs before their next match against Middlebury. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll have the second set highlights as well as a look around Beaconville here on Saturday, October 1st, 2016. We'll be back right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
That leads to the other players out there really needing to direct them and give them any of the help they might need.
As Elliott delivers a little assistance, digs that one out. Glavin finds Cohen, and a great defensive play up front by Makowitz. Boston, they lead this match 1-0 as dug out here by Glavin. Eileen Shee from Baker, and it's partially service area.
Yeah, and what Eileen's doing so well is just putting it over, making it a little bit difficult on the reception, and not allowing Babson to get that easy point on the service error.
The freshman Kristen Carasoto didn't play much in the first set, if at all, but here in set number 2, she has been critical. She gets the kill there. And service goes back to Rosine.
And Carnes checks back in for Babson, who's been one of their better hitters.
Good play by Murphy, and what a great... Here's Glavin with the service, kept alive by Carnes, as it comes right back to Carnes by way of Cameron. Tipped way up in the air like a mortar shot, and now it's going to be Murphy sending it over in front of Shee. As Makowitz tries to spike it home. It's sent way up in the air, but an even better play by Glavin on that vicious spike attempt by UMass. And another chance for UMass, and an even better play by Glavin. Always in the right position, not only with her body, but with her hands, as Carnes sends that one.
The block, but if they can't put it down in bounds, it's just as good as a kill.
Oh, wow, that one. Let's take a look around Beaconville as we get set for set number 3. UMass Boston's fellow athletic clubs obviously continuing their fall campaigns. Women's tennis is, well, they were going to play at Rick, but that one was postponed due to this trivial weather and trifling weather we've had. Men's soccer travels to Southern Maine at 2:30 p.m. to try to continue their top 10 campaign. And women's soccer will host Southern Maine at 7 p.m. Going to be a sloppy field out there, Seth, if that one gets going.
Yeah, fortunately, it's a turf field, but it's not going to be a fun evening for those women's soccer players. It's a big one for the women's soccer team, who needs a win to really solidify their chances at a spot in the Little East Conference tournament in November.
The Beacons will try to solidify the victory here with a win in set 3. Christina Elliott, Melanie Fida, Elizabeth Glavin out there, along with Eileen Shee, Sarah Doyle, and Colleen Cohen. That is the lineup for UMass Boston. I'll get you Babson's in just a second as Elliott sends the first service of set 3 over as Carnes tries to slam that one in front of Fida, but the deflection goes to Glavin. Good block up front. There was a lot of contact on the netting, and it's going to go to Babson. It's 1-0.
I think they ruled that Colleen Cohen never got the ball over the net. It hit the top of the tape, and it didn't make contact with a Babson player. Looking at the numbers from that second set, the Beacons only hit 100, but Babson still under 0. They hit -54 in the set. On the day, hitting -114.
Oh, that's a positive right there as Sarah Doyle delivers. Soft touch right in front of Jism Yilmaz, as the native of Turkey had no answer for that one. She's out there along with Elizabeth Cameron, Jenny Carnes, Abby Beecher, Sarah Zazizny, and Lorraine Makovitz, as Elizabeth Cameron joins that group. Good play by Glavin, setting up Cohen near side here for Fida. And an opportunity and a beautiful one as that's spiked in by Yilmaz as she continues to play well here in the second half of this one.
Yilmaz has seen a lot more sets since that first set. She's up to 8 on the day, 3 kills. Jenny Carnes leads the team with 7 kills. No one else has more than 2 on the Beacon side. 7 for she, 6 for Cohen.
Dug out there by Fida off Makovitz's service. Colleen keeps it alive. Near side here for Carnes, and just a bit too much on that one for number 8 in green as Jenny is off the mark.
And I think that really speaks to the strong play from Glavin, just pushing it over with the free ball, forcing, that was Makowicz backwards. The setter had to go a lot further, pushes it a little bit with the lift, and the Beacons pick up the point.
Good effort by Glavin there to try to dig it out, but really didn't have much hope, barring a miracle, as Anissa Lai will step on in, as will number 6, Sarah Rosine. Taking a seat are Carnes and Zazizny. It's 3-2 Beavers here in set 3 as they trail 2-0 here in the overall best of 5. That one deflects off the netting. It'll go towards the catwalks. Not sure if it deflected off the red catwalks, but a good adjustment made by Glavin to tip it to Murphy, who ends up getting the kill. It's 3-3.
Yeah, another good serve by Anissa Lai, who has 2 of the team's 3 aces. Babson, no aces in the second set, none thus far in the third. The Beacons with 6 aces overall versus 3 errors. Doing a nice job of keeping the errors down, something that has really hurt them over the past couple seasons.
Pepper Baker back into the match as she serves this one in. Not sure how that wasn't whistled dead, but somehow it was kept alive by Babson, and a chance to spike it in and deliver for Yilmaz. And it's 4-3 Babson College.
Yeah, I looked down at my papers. I thought that was a sure ace as well. Not quite sure how Babson was able to keep that up off the net on a really difficult service reception. The pass was beneath the net, and somehow Babson keeps it alive. They really have to outwork the Beacons in this set after dropping the first 2.
Glavin off the service, digs it all the way to the other side as this one's blocked out front by Fida, attempt by Rosine. Meanwhile, Carasoto's back out there. She sends this one towards Eileen Shee after Glavin sent it back towards the San Francisco native. We reset with a spike attempt out of bounds. No contact, I believe. And yes, UMass Boston does get credit. Good effort there by Rosine, but Glavin smart to let that one go.
I don't think she was trying to let that one go. Glavin a little bit luckier than being good there. The ball just a little bit too quick past her.
And that one too quick past the libero for the Beavers. That's Abby Beecher, and another ace here for young Melanie Fida from the service area.
Yeah, Fida had a service error in that first set that was costly. She now has a match-high 3 service aces.
Yeah, she's been fantastic since the initial hiccup as Murphy by way of Pepper Baker. That was a great give and go, and that one is going to result in a whistle. Now, you said sometimes when it hits underneath, they don't blow it, but they did here. Judgment call?
You know, maybe I'm wrong. I was pretty sure that hitting off the bottom was in play, but that one didn't quite hit off the bottom. It was also a bit off the side as well.
So the Beacons now leading 6-4, make it 7-4 as Eileen Shee slams this one between the trees. That being number 15, Liz Cameron, and number 20, Kristen Carasoto. And look at this, Melanie Fida leading the run here in set number 3 from the service area. Here's Beecher digging out the serve as Carasoto tries to tip it over. Maslak is in a good position, and now Eileen Shee seems this one slammed right back by Carasoto. But Eileen's positioning was perfect because once it came back, it was out of bounds at 7-4.
Eileen Shee has had so many kills today just off of Babson blocks going out of bounds. She hasn't necessarily hit the hardwood that many times on the Babson side. It's been positioning herself well, putting enough velocity behind the swings, and Babson just giving her lots of easy kills.
And the Beacons continuing their prowess from the service area, Melanie Fida, and that will draw a timeout from visiting head coach Eric Neely. Seth, momentum quickly shifting Beacons' way.
This is a 6-0 Beacons run. It was 4-3 Babson, and these are the runs the Beacons have been able to go to. The more players you can have who can serve it in consistently 5, 6, 7 times in a row with a couple aces, the more difficult it is for your opposition because there's no time to breathe and say, okay, we know this setter's going to give us a point, or we know this server's going to give us a point, or we're going to get an easy little serve. As you see, Mel Houlihan with Liam Houlihan right there, the son of co-head coach Michael Houlihan. Nice little touch there by our directors getting that done.
Yeah, and the Beacons, with the 9-4 advantage, have been absolutely electric offensively. Not only from the service area, but also up front. UMass Boston coming into this set had 19 kills, just 13 for Babson. And you mentioned Eileen Shee coming in had 7. She's already got a couple here. She is the leader offensively for UMass Boston, and so many kills for Eileen here today. I'm going to start calling her Dexter, as this one is kept alive near side. Carnes unable to get it over. Alana Atchison as well. It's now 10-4 as UMass Boston's Melanie Fida right back from whence she came.
Yeah, and last night it was Murphy and Cohen leading the Beacons with 14 kills apiece. She had 11, I believe, finished with the double-double. Tonight, Murphy hasn't seen her normal amount of kills as she picks one up there. That's, I believe, just her second of the match. But Eileen leading the way, Colleen not far behind. The Beacons always have a couple of options if one hitter isn't necessarily hot.
My goodness, the slide continues as quicksand has quickly enveloped the ankles of the Babson College Beavers. It was 4-3 if I'm not mistaken. Babson on top, Seth. It's now 12-4. UMass Boston 9 straight, and Melanie Fida from the service area has been a big reason why, as that one is kept alive on a good dig there by Glavin. Baker for Shee, blocked right back and out of bounds as UMass Boston keeps the run going. 10 consecutive points.
Volleyball is such a game of momentum, and when things are going well, you see a great dig there by Glavin to keep it alive, and the ball falls just out of bounds. Right now, everything falling the Beacons' way, and while we talked about the Beacons' loss last night, for Babson, they lost 5 consecutive sets. This has got to be a little bit difficult for them, probably in the back of their head, thinking, when are we going to get out of this mini slump?
Yeah, and they got to play right after this against Middlebury, so there's not a lot of time for them to regain their composure. 11 consecutive for UMass Boston as they lead at 14-4.
Babson actually won that match against Coast Guard 3-0, but lost their previous 2, so this could be their 3rd loss in 4 matches, dropping them to 8-6. Still a little bit of time left in this one.
Near side, an opportunity for Catherine Hunter. First chance to say her name in a while as Pekin's a little bit crossed up. Good effort made there by Fida, and it kept it alive. I don't even know what's going on. Sometimes, Seth, like you said earlier, you're lucky you're good.
Yeah, and Eileen Shee, a really difficult play, thought that ball was going to hit the scorer's table. Glavin gets over, and Fida just trying to get it across and somehow catches the line.
Beacons putting on a blitzkrieg of epic proportions. They've scored 12 straight, and finally it's going to be salted on a good effort there by number 10, Lorraine Makowitz, by way of number 16, Emily Woodward. And now we'll see Carnes take a seat and Kristen Heislip back in. It's 15-5.
That was a 12-0 Beacons run, 11 of them coming on the service run of Melanie Fida. And if she looked like a freshman in the first set, she certainly looked like an upperclassman throughout this 3rd set.
Service here by Cameron, or rather Woodward, as the Beacons see Eileen Shee slam it home. No hope at all for the defense of Babson. It's now 16-5. Murphy heads to the service area. Glavin to the bench, and back on is the freshman Sarah Doyle.
Really interesting play sequence there. The Beacons had Murphy and Shee both going up for it. It caused the block to be a little bit off, and no chance defensively there for Kristen Heislip.
No chance yet again. Beautiful serve there by Murphy. Trying to get down to make the play was number 5, Heislip. And unfortunately, she nor could Woodward make the play up front. It's 17-5 as this service is sent way out of here. And unless she was trying to pass it to head coach Eric Neely, I don't think that's exactly what Makowitz was looking for, but a good save by Woodward. And eventually it does go to Babson.
Yeah, Baker brought right into the net. Nothing she could have done about that. I don't know what the Beacons co-ed coaches said. I don't know what maybe some of the senior leaders on this Beacons team have said, but this is something we haven't seen from UMass Boston the last couple matches. Continuing to keep the pedal to the metal, pushing it throughout all 3 sets and not letting a team back in. It's a very good sign for UMass Boston after their last 3 matches had all gone at least 4, if not 5 sets.
Glavin setting up Shee, and no hope for the defense as Eileen Shee with a howitzer cannon, and the Beacons now 6-7 away from winning this match as you see Cohen and Elliott come on in for Maslak and Baker.
Yeah, and this is what the Beacons should be doing against a team like Babson. And Babson's a quality opponent in New England, but UMass Boston has bigger aspirations than just in New England. The Beacons, the top-ranked team, 9-1 in New England heading in after the loss last night to Wellesley.
Great adjustment made by Fida off the deflection off of Cohen. And a good dig there again by Melanie Fida. And a great play made by Doyle as UMass Boston inches closer to a victory.
And Doyle apologized there as the ball was still in the air, saying, I should have passed it, but a nice job there. I mean, you look at the Beacons, they've already gone to number 3 MIT and beat them in straight sets. They beat Tufts here in 4 sets. The only teams that they won't play towards the top are Johnson and Wales and Riviere, 2 teams out of the GNAC who are traditionally not powers.
Elliott sets up Shee in a beautiful block. Good play up front by Jenny Carnes, and I think of all the Beavers here in this match, Jenny's been the one that's opened my eyes the most up front. She's been very good.
Yeah, Carnes in there with Alana Atchison, who hasn't seen a ton of time, as Atchison will head to the bench.
As Beecher, the libero, serves, Elliott will set this one up. Good play by Doyle with the right arm. It looked like Elliott may have been thinking to go to Cohen, but Sarah Doyle had other ideas. It's 20-7.
Doyle doesn't have quite the same extendo arms that Julia Murphy does, but she can come up with some of those plays where it looks like the set's a little bit off, and she's able to get it over the net and have a really strong placement.
Stretch Armstrong out there as it's kept alive by Eileen Shee. Colleen Cohen will look to continue the torment, but a great block up front. Looked like it was UMass. She's been exquisite today as well for Babson, despite their deficit, as service will go to Makowitz and the Beavers.
Well, for our generation, I always like to think of it as Inspector Gadget arms. It's a little bit maybe older than some of the players on the floor will remember.
Oh, yeah. I would think so. I think Stretch Armstrong would be as well, as this one will go to Babson. I think tipping the net there was Elliott. If I'm not mistaken, I got a Stretch Armstrong doll when I was about 8 years old. Thought it was cool for like 3 seconds, and then realized it really wasn't. What else is new with toys these days? As Beacons leading 20-9 as they are toying with the Beavers this afternoon, looking to sweep this in 3 sets, and that one's out of bounds off of Cohen. So all of a sudden, 3 straight here for the Babson Beavers, and Terry Condon's seen enough. She's going to call timeout.
Yeah, Elliott sat there bringing Cohen away from the net, forcing her to go long there, a little bit off timing, and that's what Terry Condon has done every single time. Immediately talking with her setter, the Beacons passing not where it needed to be yesterday, better today, but I think it can be even better. Thus far, they're taking advantage of some of the Babson errors as UMass Boston's played extremely well, and I think Babson probably not feeling like they've played their best match up to this point.
Probably not. Let's kick to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have the exciting conclusion of this, set number 3 on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university for the 21st century.
Back out of the timeout along with Seth Orensky. I am John Scudra. Service here from Makowitz, and way out of bounds. Way too much mustard on that hot dog. It's now 21-10, UMass Boston out front.
I don't think Terry Condon was necessarily taking that timeout to stem the momentum or to force Makowitz into a service error, but it's an added benefit. And now the Beacons 4 points away. Almost wonder if Terry Condon and Michael Houlihan would try to bring in some of their younger players here on Parents Weekend not much time left in this match. One of the difficult things about playing two talented teams like Middlebury and Babson, you want to get the win first and foremost. It means that some of the younger players, some of the reserves, won't necessarily get to see time today.
That one, an attempt to spike by number 16, Emily Woodward, but it tips the front of the net and never made it over. It's now 22-10 as Glavin will get the service. There are a lot of players we haven't seen much of this year. Be interesting to see if they do get any playing time. A beautiful block up front by Murphy. As this one's dug out here by Glavin, and Murphy gets it from Elliott. Look at the teamwork and poise up front between 8 and 6 in black. That was poetry in motion.
Yeah, Elliott started the season on the bench. She didn't get to see much time at all as a setter. She would serve occasionally, but she's really come on since the Beacons returned to New England.
Trying to extinguish these Beavers as this one is out of bounds, and it's going to go to Babson. It's 23-11 as Carnes will take a seat. She'll be replaced out there by Catherine Hunter. Looks like also sitting down will be Michaela Spears, and replacing her, number 5, Kristen Heislip, who will head to the service area. Beacons keep the same 6 out there. 23-11. Beacons 2 away from winning this match. As good dig there by Glavin. Elliott looking for Cohen as she slams this one home and sets up match point here for UMass Boston. We said early on it'd be nice if they could get this over with quickly, and they are on the verge of doing so.
Yeah, this has been as dominant of a performance as I've seen here at the Clark, with the exception of maybe the Brandeis match, another team that is regionally ranked this week. UMass Boston just taking it to Babson here at really early start. 11 a.m. Sometimes you wonder how a team's going to react.
And that's it. Nighty-night Babson Beavers go back to the den as this one is over. UMass Boston sweeps Babson in 3 consecutive sets by the final of 25-11 here in set 3. 25-17 in set 1 and 25-16 in set 2, so they kept getting better as the afternoon went on. We're going to go to a break here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. When we'll come back, we'll have the post-game show. Beacons win it by the final of 3-0. Along with Seth Arensky, I'm John Skudras. Stay tuned to the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me.
I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school.
Welcome back to the post-game show. I'm John Skudras along with Coach Mike Houlihan. And Coach, 3-0, exactly what you were looking for. You guys have to play 3 matches in 24 hours. How does that weigh on your girls out there, and what are you telling them to try to keep their stamina up here today?
Yeah, we set this up for a reason. We want to make sure that we're well tested before we'd have to do something similar to this in playoffs. And last night we had a tough loss. It was a long game. It was a very good game, but the girls did a great job coming back today, refreshed, ready to go, and they got a good W.
Absolutely. Early on, you saw Melanie Fida out there in the service area. She struggled, got an error on her first serve, but since then, she was absolutely outstanding. Talk a little bit about how she and the rest of the freshmen have progressed since they came here to Beaconville.
Yeah, I mean, as they started off the year, they were just kind of trying to get used to everything, ready to go. But now, I mean, that just shows how mentally tough she is. She's a good kid that works really hard, and she's aggressive on her serve, so we're going to take some misses on it. But, again, we want that, and it's what really helped us get the W today.
What should we expect from Middlebury later on as you guys take them on at about 3 p.m. today?
another good match. They come from a great conference that competes all the time. They're a great team, and we're going to really have to battle if we want to get a win here. And I think our team's ready to do that. We're going to get some rest right now and get out there and ready to do it again.
10 wins in your last 11 matches. We'll hope it's 11 out of 12 come this evening. Coach, thank you. Good luck. Go prepare for that one. Along with Seth Orensky, I'm John Skudras. We'll be back here on the post-game show to wrap things up and get you set for the 2 matches coming up later on right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. And Lorraine Makovitz as Elizabeth Cameron joins that group.
Match high 3 service aces.
Yeah, she's been fantastic since the initial hiccup as Murphy by way of Pepper Baker. That was a great give and go, and that one is going to result in a whistle. Now,
last night it was Murphy and Cohen leading the Beacons with 14 kills apiece. She had 11, I believe, finished with the double-double. Tonight, Murphy hasn't seen her.
Reason why, as that one is kept alive on a good dig there by Glavin. Baker for she, blocked right back and out of that. Opportunity for Catherine Hunter, first chance to say her name in a while as Pekin's a little bit crossed up. Good effort made there by Fida off the deflection off of Cohen. And a good dig there again by Melanie Fida. And a great... Beacons 2 away from winning this match. Is good dig there by Glavin. Elliott looking for Cohen.
Start 11 a.m. Sometimes you wonder how a team's going to react.
And that's it.
Changed my life. And I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
UMass Boston is my first choice because of the incredible theater department.
Because it has an excellent honors college.
Because here I get to interact with professors one-on-one.
Because I'm not going to be crazy in debt when I graduate.
Because at UMass Boston, I've met professors who have changed my life.
My first choice.
My first choice.
My first choice.
My first choice.
Make the University of Massachusetts Boston your first choice. Visit umb.edu/first choice.
The 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
Welcome back into the broadcast booth. I am John Skudras. UMass Boston winning this one by the final of 3-0, and as they continue their torrential pace here in 2016, Seth, if I'm not mistaken, that does match their win total from a year ago. Or they go up by 1 now than a year ago. They had already matched it, which is staggering when you consider they won the Little East Conference last year. They're only going to be better this year. What'd you see today from this team?
I saw a total, complete team performance. The things that they struggled at yesterday, they really came back and they did a lot better of a job. The Beacons with 32 assists on 33 kills, 10 service aces. They had 4 service errors yesterday in the 5th set alone, 3 today, and none after early on in the 2nd set. That's a huge improvement. They dominated the block, 10 total blocks, none in that 3rd set, 8 for Babson, and a nice balanced offense, 12 kills for Eileen Shee, 7 for Colleen Cohen, 6 for Julia Murphy. This team is proving that if they can stay healthy, that's a huge if. You still have a month to play, and if they can work on some of the little things, winning sets, not allowing teams to make those runs, they can be really dangerous. As right now, we'll take a look at the final team statistics.
And Seth, you see there the 13-2 Beacons dwarfing Babson College in every statistical category. The one that really sticks out there is hitting percentage. 224 to negative 074. I tell you what, I've done a handful of volleyball broadcasts over my years here on Beaconville. I don't think I've ever seen a negative hitting percentage.
It happens. It's certainly not a good thing for a team, but the negative 74 is bad. The fact that the Beacons out-hit Babson by at least 150 points in all 3 sets is a really troubling thing for Eric Neely. The Beacons hit 429 in that 3rd set. Babson hitting just 040. UMass Boston, when they're playing as well on both sides of the ball, it's going to be really difficult to stay with UMass Boston if they're not making those service errors and the poor passes.
Yeah, and almost maybe a godsend that they get to come right back out here in 45 minutes and play again. They don't have time to think about it. They can use that match as sort of a warm-up here for a very tough Middlebury College squad. As we take a look at the individual team leaders for our first match here, the doubleheader on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. UMass Boston was led, who else? Eileen Shee in kills with 12 as she continued to play excellent offensively. The one thing that really sticks out to me, Fida leading in hitting percentage, but also in aces, something you don't very often see from her. She really picked up her game.
Yeah, 5 aces on 19 swings versus just the 1 error. She had 3 total swings as a hitter, finished with 2 kills. She's really the player of the match in my mind, despite the fact that Eileen Shee posted the big offensive numbers, 12 kills, hit .381, and came up with 6 digs. This was really Melanie Fida turning it on in the third set, that 12-0 UMass Boston run that really just was the finishing blow against the Beavers today.
Pepper Baker was our player to watch today, and she certainly made herself worth watching. Second on the team with 13 assists. She also was second on the team with 2 aces, so while she doesn't show up on our team leaders, Pepper was certainly spicing things up out there today. For Babson, Jenny Carnes, we talked about, good day for her, led the team with 7 kills. Elizabeth Cameron led the way with 15 assists, and Anissa Lai with 2 aces led the way for Babson, who now falls to 8-6 and has to come right back on out to face Middlebury College. Seth, great match here early on. Beacons now have to go to Middlebury, and before we do sign off, just give us your preview of what we should see when the Beacons take on Middlebury College in just a couple hours.
Well, Middlebury, a team that's receiving votes in New England. Co-head coach Michael Holland said that all 3 of these teams were pretty much even in his mind because they have very different strengths. Wellesley, a tremendous setter, as does this Middlebury team. And when you look at it, they don't have anyone with over 100 kills, but Emily Kolodka, player that we saw here 2 years ago as part of the Beacons Invitational, is a phenomenal player. Kolodka, the senior on this team out of Verona, New Jersey, an outside hitter. So they've got a lot of depth. They're going to be pretty athletic, and it's going to be interesting to see. Unlike Babson, they'll have a match to warm up. They might be a little bit more ready to go early on in that first set, so UMass Boston's going to have to match the intensity.
Stay tuned if you're a fan of either Middlebury or Babson. We will have the video of that match right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. No audio, as Seth and I are going to go catch our breaths, as will our production team, who we could never do it without. As always, producing the show and color commentator today, my partner in crime, Seth Orensky. Our directors, Anthony Searles and Alex Carasoto. On replay, Rachel Mayette. Our camera crew, Brian Kaufman, Taylor Paulina, Chris Fowler, and Steve Consiglio. For Seth Orensky, I am John Skudris. Good night, good luck, and good volleyball. Beacons win this one by the final of 3-0 to improve to 13-2 overall in 2016. We'll be back later on with Babson against Middlebury, followed by UMass Boston against Middlebury College. This is the Beacons Broadcasting Network.